Hello everyone, it's Tim Wilmot here from Wizard Systems. Thanks for joining me today for GoldMine 101, our regular series of short GoldMine presentations focusing on different topics around GoldMine and CRM. And today I'm going to go over data quality, how to identify issues in your GoldMine database as regards the quality of information you've got against your customers and the accuracy and so on. And then just covering some tips and tools on how you can rectify those problems. Now, this presentation will be fairly short, about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour or so in duration. It's just an overview of the capabilities and features around data management in GoldMine. My company, Wizard Systems, offer many extensive support options and consultancy options if you want some help in addressing any data problems in your GoldMine database. Now, on the call today, we've got people using, I know, all sorts of different versions of GoldMine. I'll be showing you the latest version, but pretty much what I'm talking about is relevant to all recent versions of GoldMine. Now, the audio part of this presentation is one way only. If you've got any questions, you might have seen there's a question box on your meeting control panel. Pop your questions in there and I'll do my best to answer those at the end. Also at the end, I'll be giving you an update on any GoldMine product news, keep you in the loop there. This call is being recorded after the presentation. You will get an email probably after a day or so with a link to recording that you can play back at your leisure, and we'll most likely post it to our YouTube channel as well. So just a brief mention about my company. I know a lot of you on the call are familiar with us, but we are a long-standing supplier, training organization for GoldMine and CRM systems. We've implemented well over 3,000 systems all over the UK and further afield. And we offer a complete service around GoldMine, should you need us, as regards implementation help, customizing GoldMine, integrating it to other applications. We supply well over a dozen popular add-on utilities to GoldMine that extend the solution's functionality further. And we've got a help desk support service, a fully manned permanent support help desk service to assist you as well. Okay, so let's pop into GoldMine and review data quality issues. So what I've got in front of me here is a record. I've made it up. I've made some obvious mistakes, but maybe when you look at your GoldMine database, maybe you are suffering from some or all of these issues. So if we look at a contact record, first of all, we may have a mixture of case. You may want to have that in a more consistent manner, proper case or uppercase or whatever. We've got a little, I don't know whether you can see this, but I've got a little space before the contact name. I've seen that a few times before in other databases where there may be some lack of checking, or maybe it might identify some training requirements for the people using it, but to make sure there's no obvious spaces in critical contact data. Now, the email address, very important, and becoming increasingly important with the up-and-coming GDPR data protection regulations that are going to come into force next May. So considering your email addresses, and if you are going to use GoldMine as the cornerstone for email marketing in a targeted way to your contacts, have you got the consent of this customer, this contact, to email them? And you may want to consider implementing what's called a double opt-in process for gaining recording email addresses in your GoldMine database for then emailing to them. We will be focusing on GDPR and double opt-in in a later presentation, but the whole area around email addresses is quite critical. We're missing a job title. We're missing the salutation of the contact. So if we're merging out to letters, if you're still using the link to Word to create tailored letters, mail merge to your contacts, or you're doing any email merged to that contact, then that will be missing there as well. We've got an incomplete address. If you are producing address labels or you want to know where the contact is, we have an incomplete address here, maybe some mismatch of the postcode to the location as well, and so on. There may be some missing fields, out of date data, and so on. So your database will become inevitably inaccurate over time, unfortunately, due to a few reasons. Maybe you don't have many people using GoldMine, or you're not using GoldMine actively in your day-to-day work. I mean, the more you're going to use your CRM tool, the more you're going to have the data in front of you, and options and opportunities to change the data and keep it up to date. Maybe if you've got lack of data validation as you're entering in data, it's not checked, or you don't have any mandatory fields, then that could introduce some inaccurate data. Inevitably, customers will change their contact details. People will change jobs, move from this company, pop up in another company. So you need to think about a process for managing that and recording that in GoldMine, the previous employment of that individual and where they've gone to. Maybe there's a lack of training and process control in your company. So maybe that could be addressed to make data more accurate. If you're doing any database imports, sometimes that can introduce some bad data, incomplete data, duplicate data as well, and generally old data. If you've been using a GoldMine a long time, then of course you will have a record of when the records were originally put into the GoldMine system, but you may be suffering from very old data that hasn't been touched in a while. So the benefits of keeping your data clean is that the whole system is going to be easier to use. Users won't get frustrated over not being able to find information or information being all over the place. It's going to, secondly, if you've got good data, it's secondly going to improve your communication with your customers and prospective customers. With that, the better way of emailing and so on. If you're doing any reports from GoldMine, they're going to be better. You're not going to have any obvious gaps or missing information when you do those reports. But sometimes actually using GoldMine for reporting, and if you've got dashboards, that can show up gaps in your data, and that can highlight some data anomalies as well. So by having better data, you can do better marketing, more accurate lists, a lower bounce rate of your emails, increased conversions. So there could be benefits there if, as I say, you're using GoldMine for the cornerstone of your email marketing. Next, the GDPR regulations that are coming in next May. They're sort of looming on the horizon now and fast approaching, and your CRM system is going to be an element in making sure your company and your organization is GDPR compliant with the individual protection laws that are coming in place. And lastly, professionalism. By having an up-to-date database, is going to make you appear a little bit more professional when you're talking to contacts, having accurate information in front of you. So tools that you can use in GoldMine to help you identify data apart from manually seeing it there, but standing back and looking at the overall picture of your maybe many thousands. So we've got a record count there, many thousands, tens of thousands of records in your GoldMine database. What tools can you use to assist you to identify the problems and then rectify them? Well, first of all, we do have dashboards. We're going to be giving out this particular dashboard free of charge to all attendees. So if you can email me after the presentation if you'd like a copy of this, we'll freely give that with a few instructions on how to implement it in your GoldMine system. But this dashboard here is just looking at the database health status of your records split down into the different components of a GoldMine system. Now, those of you that may not be too familiar with the names of the tables that build up GoldMine, don't worry too much. But basically, contact one is your main contact data. It's basically the information in the top half of your screen there. That's what GoldMine calls it, contact one. And this free dashboard here shows you some obvious duplicates of identical comparison of the company name and the contact name. So that's a little bit of a heads up there on some obvious duplicates in your GoldMine database. Cal is the calendar, the diary, your activity list. So you can there see records relating to individuals. And that's another area that typically we see when some users leave your company. You may have then lots of old activities lurking around there, which doesn't matter per se, but it could lead, as time goes on, it could lead to a system that is overly mucked up with data and old records and old activities that never took place, are never going to take place. But there are tools in GoldMine to assist you there to remove those outstanding activities from old users or move them on to somebody else. If you're using GoldMine for emails, then the mailbox here that's where all your emails are stored in GoldMine. So here we can see the number of emails sat in someone's trash can by user there. And there's a few other tabs there as well that if you're a GoldMine systems administrator, you may understand those, but as users, those are the main ones there. The other things you can do, of course, is using filters, groups, and SQL queries to search and identify for missing records. So I could search on any of the primary fields in the GoldMine system. I double click here, and we could then, obviously, when we're doing a search, we could look for whether that field is empty. So a quick way there of identifying empty records or a combination of empty records. We can also use SQL queries. I've got a few examples of SQL queries here, which again we can share with you if you have a support service with us. But for example, just to give you a flavor, so SQL queries can do more sophisticated searches, much better searches of your GoldMine database than possibly filters can. So for example, here's one I've created earlier to produce a list of contacts in my database that don't have an email address. So this is this SQL query syntax. Again, don't worry too much about that, but it's fairly logical if you look at it and you can see roughly what it's doing. So once you've created that SQL query or select it, you then click on this query button to then action it, and that will then show you all of the contacts that don't have an email address. So maybe some calls for concern in your GoldMine system. So there are these tools to assist you, reporting, dashboards, filters, groups that will help you. What you need to do is really, on a regular basis, review your contact database, review records, newly input records that come in, review duplicates. There is in GoldMine a number of tools to assist you there to merge duplicate records together. There's the merge purge tool. There's the global replace tool, the ability to copy or move records or globally remove records en masse. Lots of tools in GoldMine to assist you, certainly on duplicate records. Review unused fields. Did you some time ago create lots of user-defined fields? It's pretty easy to do. Maybe you're not using them anymore. They're just cluttering up the system and can potentially make it more difficult to use and more difficult to do reporting. Review old records. GoldMine knows when a record was created, when a record was last updated. Those two could be fields that you can search on. Show me all records created before this date, for example, or updated, or the last update was say 10 years ago. Also, as regards emails, review your opt-in policy. That may be important going forwards with GDPR. We are planning to hold a number of presentations leading up to GDPR, so stay tuned for that. Look at, in GoldMine, we've got mandatory fields, required fields. So when you enter in new data, there may be some critical information that needs to go in there. Review those. Do you need more? Do you need to take some away because the system could be too onerous or too difficult to use if you've got too many required fields? Look at your drop-down lists in the fields as well to help you with data validation and consistency of information going into the system. You constantly need to review those drop-down lists and remove old entries or irrelevant entries. Police new records coming into the system. Review those new records added in by other people. Just make sure they're filling in the correct information and we've got the critical information going forwards. You may want to also review other applications in your company that are storing customer data, your accounting system. With GoldMine, we do link to popular accounting systems like QuickBooks and Sage 50, Sage 200. You may want to review that, or you may have data in Excel as well. And remember those tools in GoldMine to help you keep the data clean as well. With these tools, they're very powerful. Normally, they would be used by someone in your company that knows a lot about GoldMine, or maybe the systems administrator, in inverted commas. And you will need to, normally, we strongly recommend a full backup is done of your GoldMine system before you proceed with those data cleansing tools. Another thing that some of our customers have done is to output their database or part of their database to a third-party database cleaning agency. And that's where you can submit your data securely to these organizations, a number of them in the UK, that specialize in cleaning up your data. Maybe you have incomplete addresses. Maybe you've got addresses without postcodes. Maybe you've got company records without a phone number or the correct company name. Or you may want to get extra, you may want to append extra information to your GoldMine data, like number of employees, size of company, turnover information. So there are lots of database cleansing organizations out there. If you Google that term, data cleansing companies, that you'll see a long list of organizations that will offer those services. And sometimes they'll give you a free little check of your data as well, that actually take a sample of your database and just give you some basic stats back as regards incomplete records, missing postcodes and so on, before you make any decision to purchase their services. We do also offer this service ourselves as a bureau, if you do want to consider that. And we do also offer lots of training around these database cleansing tools as well. So if you need any help or assistance in evaluating the cleanliness of your GoldMine database, or you want some help or a little bit of training on the data management tools in GoldMine, just let us know. Okay, so that's a brief overview then of these tools in GoldMine and the potential issues that you may be suffering from time to time and ways of rectifying them. I'd now like to open out our call to any questions that you've got. So first question from Billy: how can I see all recent records added? So you can do this by searching. You could actually search by a field in GoldMine called the account number. And the account number is a hidden field. It will show you, it basically contains the entry date of that record. So you can do a search on the account number, or account no, as it's called, and then go right to the end of your database, and then you'll be able to see all of the recent records added in date order. You could also do a search on the create on field. When you do a little search, when you're doing a filter, you may see the create on field. That's another way of potentially doing that. A question from Charlie: is there an easy way to export data and fill in the empty cells quickly and then re-import? Yes, you could do that. You could export out all of the records, the contact 1, contact 2 records, basically the information certainly in the top half of the screen, in a CSV or Excel type format. Then in Excel, you need to include the account number field. The account number field is the unique identifier of every contact record in GoldMine. So export out that account number field, then put into Excel, move the data around, enter in new data in the columns as you want to, save that file as a CSV or Excel. You can actually use import from an Excel file, but you're importing back into GoldMine using a match of the account number field. So the data is going to find a home to go to, Charlie. So yeah, that can be done. Or you could use the global replace feature, which allows you to update missing information with some other value or value coming from other fields if you want to. Question from Morris: can I do a duplicate check on email addresses? That's a good question. Now, your GoldMine system by default will not allow duplicate emails to be imported, so you shouldn't be suffering from this. There is a sneaky little trick to allow your GoldMine system to enter duplicate email addresses. If you have some examples where you've got multiple records, multiple people, maybe sharing an info at address or sales at address for whatever reason, it is possible to have duplicate, or to allow GoldMine to have these duplicate email addresses. So you've got to be careful there if you are going down that route. The global replace tool will not, as standard, do a duplicate check on email addresses. You can search on the email addresses, and that will then identify, if you scroll down, you will be able to visually see some duplicate email addresses there. So you possibly could do it that way, Morris. But the data management, the built-in data management merge purge utility won't do that as standard, Morris. But there are some other tools that you could use there. Right, I don't think there's any other questions coming through. If any late questions come through, I will answer those separately via email. We have a marketing course for GoldMine next Thursday. We'll cover lots of marketing tips and tricks in GoldMine, touch on email marketing, opting in, that sort of stuff. Please contact me for more details on that. Latest version of GoldMine, Hotfix 1A 2017. We are expecting a hotfix 2 any week now. These regular hotfixes come out, but the latest major release of GoldMine is 2017.1. Just a reminder, please email me if you would like a free GoldMine dashboard. I've not included it in the handout section like we did the last time we offered a free dashboard, a different dashboard, because it introduced a little bit of confusion there of the lack of instructions. So please email me, Tim at wizard-system.com, if you want that database health check or status dashboard there. We also have one for detecting duplicate records as well. Just email me. And if you've got any good suggestions for future topics that would be of interest to the GoldMine community, please let me know. Any suggestions considered? Again, tim@wizard-systems.com. So thanks very much for your time today. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you next time. There probably won't be a 101 session next Tuesday, more likely in a couple of weeks' time. So stay tuned for the invites on that. But thanks very much for your time. Bye-bye.